Hey there, friends. I'm so excited about our next essay number 127. So as you know, we're reading this massive book called American Miscellany. It's a collection of essays varying in length and topic, hopefully historical and scientific as advertised. But so these are random topics. I don't know. I haven't read this book. I'm reading it for the first time along with you guys. And sometimes the titles are very exciting. So this one is called Progress. Essay number 127 is Progress. So it's actually kind of long. We'll see what they have to say. So our last essay was just a short one. It was entitled Ship Anchorage at Whampoa, just talking about this beautiful engraving. No pictures for this one, but it looks like we have a poem to look forward to. All right, let's get into it. American Miscellany, published 1865, page 306, essay number 127, Progress. Motion or progress is a universal condition of created being. There is nothing in a state of rest. There is no standing still. The planets are in motion, and so are the suns round which they roll. We speak of the restless wind. It veereth about continually. The clouds rest not, the rivers rest not, the troubled sea, it cannot rest. The problem of the perpetual motion is demonstrated every day in the great workshop of nature. Ascending from rude to organized matter, we meet with the same law or condition of being. The fluids of living creatures, the juices of plants, are never altogether dormant. When they cease to move, there are dissolution and death, a change, but still no rest. The material elements, set free from their wonted channels, are thrown into the great laboratory of nature. They are dissolved, resolved into their constituent elements, and again thrown into new combinations. It is not a mere whim of fancy to suppose that the rose of last summer will reappear in the snowdrop of next spring, and that we shall again meet with the lily of the valley in the blooming heather bell. Passing from the material to the immaterial world, the same remarkable fact meets us in the regions of thought and consciousness. There is no repose. The man of today is different from the man of yesterday. On the wings of restless thought, he has surveyed anew some provinces of the universe which he had before visited, and seen them as he had never seen them before, or has dived to depths or soared to heights profounder or higher than upon any of his former wanderings. In either case, he returns changed from what he was. Others of the shows and forms of nature have been mirrored upon his soul. His emotions and affections, his feelings and passions have been stirred, agitated, tossed, it may have been, into multitudinous commotion. He has been the scene of a moral storm, and a change has passed upon his moral nature. The body of the stout-limbed and the strong-armed man, whose breasts are full of milk and whose bones are full of marrow, is not more different from that of the red palpy infant or light-hearted boy. Then is the mind of the one from that of the other. Progress is a universal condition of intellectual existence, with one exception, and that is in the case of him who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Looking more closely at this perpetual motion, we find that it is very irregular, not at all straightforward. This peculiarity of it is as universal as is the fact itself. It prevails in the rude, unorganized world, in the world of organization, and in the world of mind. The spheres move in circles or ellipses. The growth of the vegetable world is intermittent, and not less so is the growth of our intellectual and moral nature. The ocean tides are in perpetual flux and reflux. From singing its hoarse tempest's tune, the wind proceeds to warble its breeze melody. From racing on the skyey plains across the face of the moon, the clouds assemble together as if to celebrate their Sabbath in peace. And in the motions and progresses of mind, we can appeal to the experience of our intelligent and reflective readers, whether this flux and reflux, this circular motion, this intermittent life, is not as strongly marked there as in the external world. There is a moral significance in this great natural fact, commensurate with the greatness of the fact itself. Does it not shadow forth the doctrine of human progress? And is not this one of the most important and pleasant doctrines which the mind can contemplate? We see the whole material universe in motion. The law of progress is upon it, and guided by that law it moves on towards some grand consummation, which, though ever nearing, it may never reach. In imagination's eye, we see the worlds rising above the region of the shadows and emancipating themselves from those chaotic influences by which they are yet partially bound. And we can anticipate the time when the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun as the light of 7 days. Excuse me. But by far the highest and most delightful aspect of this law of progress is that which has reference to rational life and its destinies. Here also, as in the material world, we meet with circular and intermittent motion, and sometimes with what appears to be retrogression. But it is impossible for a man to move round a circle of thought without increasing his intellectual vigor. His motion may not be directly upward, but in spiral circles, each rising above the other. By this winding staircase he mounts to higher regions of intelligence, and at every succeeding step has a wider range of vision, until at length, though not at last, he gazes around him with the ken of an angel. And while the horizon widens and the future brightens upon his eye, while he descries the far-off mountain tops radiant with the suns of eternity, he does not lose sight of the past, but its joys more joyful than ever, its brightness still brightening, its songs of gladness attuned to more soothing melodies or harmonious concords, its cares and sorrows mellowed by distance, its yesterdays hallowed by today, lie treasured up in his memory and wander a ceaseless music among his heartstrings. It is a blessed and bliss-giving doctrine, this of human progress. Yet sometimes we rebel against it and lightly esteem the priceless inheritance. We would blot it out from star and comet, from sun and moon, from the whole host of heaven, which in their ceaseless motions hymn it in our ears. We would blot it out from the millionfold objects on which it is written over all the earth. We would blot it out from our own heart and soul. For have we not regrets and longing for the past? Do we not sometimes say of the present, here we would make our rest forever? It is not difficult to explain those faithless and effeminate moods and wishes. When perplexities annoy us and a host of difficulties surround us, when the battle of life waxes hot against us, and we seem to be losing ground, we would willingly take refuge in those early days when as yet responsibility was scarcely laid upon us, and others fought our battles, or when friends are around us and health dances in every vein. We would fain cling to both, and rather make sure of the joys we have, than risk the loss of them for others which we know not of. But reflection soon convinces us that there is no going backward, a little more that there is no standing still, and yet a little more that it is not desirable to do either the one or the other, but that the doctrine of progress is as desirable as it is ennobling. But after all, the human heart sympathizes with this doctrine of progress. Schiller's sublime hymn upon hope can scarcely fail to agitate tumultuously, yet delightfully, the human breast. The future is man's immemorial hymn. In vain runs the present a-wasting to a golden goal in the distance dim. In life, in death, he is hasting. The world grows old and young and old, yet the ancient story still bears to be told. Hope smiles on the boy from the hour of his birth. To the youth it gives bliss without limit. It gleams for old age as a star on earth, and the darkness of death cannot dim it. Its rays will gild even fathomless gloom when the pilgrim of life lies down in the tomb. Never deem it a shibboleth phrase of the crowd. Never call it the dream of a rhymer. The instinct of nature proclaims it aloud. We are destined for something sublimer. This truth which the witness within reveals, the purest worshipper deepliest feels. Seem it not as if an angel had sung it, and as if while he sung another angel had drawn aside, thrown to right and left, the curtains of futurity, and a flood of glory from the land that is afar off had spread around our path? Who would go backward now? Who would stand still? What are the perils that lie between us and those regions whither the bright inhabitants are inviting us? They are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed. It eclipses the brightness of our midsummer sunlight. It blots out all the stars. It draws us with the cords of a sweet compulsion towards its own fountains, and we willingly leave behind us our dearly cherished earth and go onward to perfection. This doctrine of progress is proclaimed, trumpet-tongued, by innumerable providential facts. History instructs us that the human race has gravitated, however little and however slowly, towards the center of perfection. It is engraven on the human heart, it is entwined with our intellectual being, and hence those longings after immortality, those aspirations for something holier and sublimer, which we have all experienced in our better moods. That which external nature declares, and which our hearts long for, has had light shed upon it from the pages of Revelation. There we are instructed to leave first principles and go on to perfection, are taught to expect a millennium for the world, and something more glorious than the eye hath seen, or ear heard, or heart hath conceived beyond it. Contemplated in the light of this great truth, all difficulties vanish. The enigma of human life becomes a thing which a child can understand. We are surrounded with evil and suffering. A moral chaos rages around us, in the vortices of which we are sometimes apt to think all beauty and goodness are in danger of being swallowed up and lost. Thus it has been for nearly 6,000 years. Nations have run the circle of crime and suffering, have lived unhappily and passed away ingloriously. Others have succeeded them, but to run the same fatal circle and to reach the same inglorious goal. As with nations, so with individuals, only they have played a briefer part. It is a dark and melancholy picture. But when surveyed in the light of this law of progress, when we are able to believe that in this moral chaos there has been a principle of order ever tending to mold it into a harmonious and orderly system, and when we find from history that this principle has not operated altogether in vain, we see the possibility of a millennium for the world. And when we think upon what individual men have become, when we remember that the law of progress is upon all, and that a moral gravitation attracts all towards its center of inconceivable happiness and unseen beatitude, the seeming chaos ceases to send forth its discords. Light flashes upon its darkness. It begins to rise and soar and sing, onward, upward, without rest, forever and forever. Our brief article is suggestive rather than illustrative, but its excuse me. But its leading idea radiates in all directions, backwards to the morn of time, forward through the cycles of eternity. We must read history with a faith in this law of progress, and with the same faith we must read the brief and feverish history of our own life. Note its small and feeble beginnings. Look at the hope in the cradle, the prattling child at its mother's knee. It is not something worth thinking of that the child has implanted within it faculties capable of expanding to the dimensions of those of the archangel, affections capable of loving with a love pure and warm as that of the seraphim? Not only so, but also of reaching the height to which those great and pure beings have now attained? Here the optimist can revel and luxuriate the great facts of nature, his own reason, and revelation also, assuring him that his faith and rejoicing are well founded, and while a sound philosophy will teach him that the doctrine of human perfectibility is a fable, it will also teach him of another and more exalted doctrine, that of the eternity of human progress.